I had a patient that came into my office, and before he sat down, he just said, "What are you doing here?" And he's looking around my pictures and like, "What do you mean what I'm doing here?" It's like, "I'm here, to serve you." It's like, "No, no, like what are you really doing here?" So I told him my ambitions and what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to finish school and then travel. And he said like, "Well, if I see you here next year, because he comes from his annual exam, I'm just gonna call you a dreamer because that's all you're gonna be is a dreamer." And so 2 weeks later, I put in my 2 weeks notice and quit that job, and that's how I ended up in Santa Barbara. My name is Mark Kurosaki. I'm originally from Chicago. I moved here in California about 3 years ago. I was active duty for 5 years. I got out, worked at the Federal Healthcare Center in Great Lakes, and worked there for about 2 years. Before I joined the military, I got into cars. Like 90% of my income would go to my car. So I would say back then, I was more materialistic. The world, in a sense, revolved around me. I'll admit that part of being having that nice car is you get the look. People turn their heads. The other aspect of it was even before then, I always had these anger issues. I don't know what was it like. I was mad at the world. Thinking back, I think it was just I had like a lot of ego, all those emotions. It was all about me in a sense. And so, how I broke out of this ego is one was traveling. When my chief said I was going to go to Cambodia, my first image of Cambodia, since I have some friends in Chicago who are Cambodian, but they're all gangbangers, so it wasn't really a positive view. When my chiefs told me that, I was like, I'm going to go to a war-torn country with gangbangers. It's gonna be crazy. But we landed, and we were greeted by our translators, and treating the people of Kampot. They're the nicest people in the world. I've never seen so many smiles. And they had this sort of happiness that I didn't even see within Americans, and especially in cities where people have money and people have cars, people have houses.
Yeah.
But I just felt like there was something missing in them. Yeah, we went there for a humanitarian mission, so we went to Kampot to provide medical care for the whole village. And I had this one patient, but I was telling her that she was in perfect health, so but I had to tell the translator to tell her that. And then she came to me and started to take my hand and started crying, and I'm like, why is she crying? And I was like, what is she saying? And she said, she's starting to thank you because she told me that she's very thankful that she is healthy, just to know that she is healthy, and there was nothing wrong with her. That's when I realized too, like material things are not the solution for happiness. Other way too of me trying to how I think I went beyond the ego was I started going out to nature, like camping a lot, especially by myself, where I had no other person that could influence my thoughts or anything. It was just me and just nature. And that's when I realized that I was more. People would say like, "Mark, aren't you feeling alone being there?" I didn't think so when I started realizing that you go to nature, you think you're alone, but then you forget that if you think you are alone, just you as a person, yes. But then if you forget that if you don't look at the world as sort of like an ecosystem, that you are connected, that the air you're breathing is the air that the oxygen is given by the plants next to you. And that's why I think that's the reason why as humans we do have, if you look at every city, we have a green space. And I think there's something deep inside of humans that we do kind of yearn for that nature. I mean, look at all the national parks in California.
Yeah.
I mean, we do escape to these places, but why? One have an open mind, but also an open heart. If there's a new truth that you're provided with new information, have an open mind that information be true from what you previously learned. When it comes to your heart, once you see someone suffering, just because it's not suffering from you, like you didn't experience that, open your heart and maybe realize that you can experience the same thing, or it doesn't matter if you don't experience the same thing. It's someone experiencing something, and that's why you kind of have to have that empathy. So yeah, I just have an open mind and open heart.
Yeah.
And never stop learning, never stop talking, communicate, share, travel. And when you're traveling, share those travel with other travelers and people who are home. And that's, again, to me, travel is a privilege. But when you come back, what are you going to tell people who can't travel?